Fantastic.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio podcast and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Marina Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Nina Menolson. She's a body peace coach. And today we are going to be talking about feeling at home in your body over 40. And this is such an important conversation because we all know that, when we get over 40, we start finding fault with our body. So yes, feeling at peace with your body is an excellent conversation for us to be having. And I'm glad that Nina is going to, share some nuggets of how we can do that, because I'm over 42. So welcome, Nina.
Thank you, Myrna. It's a delight to be here with you.
You're very welcome. All right. So let me set this up by giving you a little background or short bio on Nina. Nina Menolson is a body peace coach. She helps people end the war with food and body and finally feel truly at home in their body, as it is. She's known for her deeply feminist, anti-diet, body peace approach. She brings her 30 years experience as a therapist, nationally board certified health and wellness coach, body trust guide, and philosophy of eating to helping women create a respectful and trusting relationship with their food and body. Nina's body peace work is all in service of helping people get off the diet roller coaster and into a compassionate and powerful way of eating and living, which creates a positive, long-lasting change in and with their bodies. Her courses, coaching, and poetry positively change the conversation that women are having with their body. She also writes body poems as a way to encourage a shift in the way we talk to and feel about our body. Yes, like I said earlier, this is a great conversation to have. It's the first topic like this I've had on the show. So this is new content. Woo!
Right. Good.
Yes. Well, Nina, this is such an interesting niche. Tell us about how you became a body peace coach. How did that come about?
Yeah. So honestly, the way I became a body peace coach is that I was an expert at body war with myself. So I grew up, my first diet was when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And then ensued decades of diets on and off, right? That diet roller coaster of like, oh yes, this is the new latest, greatest thing. This is it. This is how I'm going to get that perfect body that, is on all the magazines and all the blogs and all of Hollywood. This is it. And then of course that never lasts because they don't, because 95% of people who go on diets gain their weight back, if not more, in 2 to 5 years. So that roller coaster was the story of my life, to the point where I was like, you know what, this has got to change. This is frankly boring. And I have more important things to do in this life than to be obsessed about what I just ate or what the number on the scale is. And so I started digging deep in my own life, which was a personal journey, but also became a professional journey. So I became a therapist. I started as a body worker, really doing massage and helping women really feel comfortable in their own body. And hearing women's body stories and the trauma that we carry and all the shame that we carry. Oh, my belly's too big. Oh, my underarms are still flapping when I wave. Oh, my butt is too, depending on the era, too big, too small, too whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
All of the stuff that I was hearing. And so then I got into also health coaching. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out how to eat right. Well, that's not it either, right? That's not the whole answer. Of course, it matters how we nourish ourselves, but that doesn't actually impact how we feel about our body. So I started to weave all of those together. How are we in relationship to our body? How are we in the relationship with our food? And that brought me to the work that I'm doing and really cultivating this work of body peace out of my own experience, out of a lot of training, out of a lot of certifications, a lot of study, and really the most powerful teacher is working with women for 30 years, is really understanding how do we do this? How do we transform a relationship with our body that might feel really hard really like a struggle, really like we just don't feel as proud of ourselves or as confident as we want, shifting that relationship to be one where we feel like we're really supporting ourselves or a real ally for ourselves. We feel like we're really on our own side.
Okay, so that's great. And I as you were talking, I recognized that I also had my own body peace journey. You know, yeah, because when I got to, I mean, I was my last episode was with a health coach with intermittent fasting for women and things like that. But one of the things that she said is that yeah, when you get to 35, the same thing that you eat is gonna your body is processing it differently. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I got to 35, the weight just kept going up and up and up and up and up and up. And then I would try to, do all these different things. I never really went diet per se, but I watched what I ate and, I exercised and I walked and it was still going up. And then at one point in time, I just says, well, listen, I am over 50. I am over 60. So why am I worried about the scale? All I want to do is be healthy. And I continue doing my 5K walk every day. I'm in the sunshine, like we talked, I'm in Florida. I'm in the sunshine. I'm healthy. I'm fit. I got all this kind of energy. And I'm going to forget about the scale. But then when it started getting to a number that I didn't think that I was comfortable with, then I switch back. So tell us. So that's a perfect story for you to. How do you, if you were to coach me, what would you tell me?
Yes. So first of all, I want to start as I mentioned to you before. I write body peace poems. So I write poems about our relationship with our body, and I want to open the conversation about the scale with a poem, because this conversation about the scale is so important, because so many women are like, yes, but that number, but that
Yes.
number, but yes. That number. So I want to start with this. And this is specifically, there's two poems I have about the scale, but this one is called Please Don't Weigh Me. And this is about actually opting out of that input where we go to the doctor and then we feel bad, or someone's like, no, I need to weigh you because it means something. So this is called Please Don't Weigh Me. Please don't weigh me. She asked me to hop on the scale. I said, no, thank you. She said, we'd like to get a baseline for your health since you're a new patient. I said, I don't subscribe to the belief that weight determines health. There are more powerful metrics that paint a picture of my vitality. Another day, she asked me to hop on the scale. I said, no, thank you. She said, we're a surgical practice and we need your weight to determine anesthesia dosages. I said, of course, if I need to have the surgery, I'll get on the scale. But right now, we're just having a conversation about the possibility of surgery, not actually prepping for it. Another day, she asked my daughter to hop on the scale. I said, no, thank you. We don't weigh ourselves. I know that your mission is to support healing, but your scale and your weighing my daughter is not healing. It's harmful. It buys into the diet culture's message that thin is better, that there's a specific number that we're aiming for. Your scale interrupts my daughter's ability to trust her body. Your measurements have her measuring her self-worth against a number. I am fighting for my ability to listen to my own body cues. I am desperately trying to defend my daughter from the impact of a culture that values a particular size over substance. I am advocating for women to have a relationship with their body that is based on internal cues, not external numbers. Given my history of dieting and scale addiction, if you weigh me now, you will be doing harm to my mental health instead of supporting my overall health. So please don't weigh me.
That was beautiful. I mean, wow. I am so glad that I shared my story right off, because I was thinking that I should wait until I asked the question about how can we feel at peace with our body over 40, which is the topic. But I'm glad that I brought that right up off the bat. So we're starting strong.
We're
That
right in,
is
we've dove in, we dove right
yes,
into the meat of the issue, which is that women are
yes,
comparing themselves either to other women or the scale or
yes.
some ideal of
Mhm.
what we should be. And Myrna, your story is right on the mark, because what it speaks to is like, what? Who
Yeah.
gets to define how I feel about myself?
Well,
Hold up. I'm not
yeah,
playing that game anymore.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, society defined my number, and and you're right. Like, if you're starting with the children, you're weighing them. They're
Yes.
starting. That actually is a very bad thing, because now they're going to tell your daughter, oh, right, and she's going to have this thing. So we all are with the scale thing. Like I said, I released it when I
Yes.
recognized that I was healthy. But then when it got to a number, and I'm gonna say what the number is, when it got to a certain number, I says, no, 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 no. I refuse to go over this number. So then I'm working. But yeah, so let's talk about that. Why do you think that society, that women per se, is addicted to the scale? And we're talking about body peace, and the scale is one of them, and you talk about flabby arms, or you know I was looking at Instagram the other day, and one of the either the man, he's got a radio show and he's very popular, and he had a picture of a woman laying on bed with her stomach out, and she had like a C-section cut, and it was so uncomfortable to watch. And basically what he's saying is that women are beautiful in all bodies, but he put that there to shock us, because that is not the kind of images that we see. We always see the
Mhm.
perfectly formed, beautiful women. And if you've got a body that looks different from that, you feel ashamed of it. So yeah, we're diving right into the meat of it.
We are diving right into it. So I am so glad that he did that, because we know representation makes a huge difference in terms of us feeling part of society, inclusivity, right? When we see Black people on a screen, Black people feel like, yes, I am part of society. There was no Asians in Hollywood. Okay, now we've got some Asians on the screen. Now Asians
Yes,
feel like, yes, I am part of society. I'm
yes,
represented.
yes,
Same goes with I am in a larger body, or I am in a lumpier body, or I am in a body with scars, or I am in a body with a mastectomy, or I am in a
yes,
body with an amputation. We need that representation. We need
yeah,
to see all aspects of our society, because we're a wonderfully diverse population, including, and this feels like the last frontier, body size. Because Hollywood is saying, yes, yes, diversity, we're all over it, we're including everybody, as long as you're thin. So really, what we're up against right now is expanding our definition of beauty, not just in our culture, but in our own head. We
yeah.
have been brainwashed into this idea that if you don't look like J Lo when you're in your 50s, well, what's the matter with you?
No.
I'm like, really?
Yes,
Well,
that was
I
a good one, because she looks amazing. Yep,
right.
yep. Anyway,
But
yes.
we don't
Mhm.
all have trainers. We don't
No.
all have, our body is not our product, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
that's an important point to really acknowledge, because women do start to see their body as their product, as their worth, as their social currency, as their power. And
Mhm.
that is not who we are. We are more than a body. Yes. Do we want to feel good in our body? Absolutely. Do we want to nourish our body? Yes. Do we want to feel vibrant and mobile and, agile in life? Of course. But do we want all of our self-worth wrapped up in this idea that if we don't fit into the teeny tiny box that our society says is beautiful and is acceptable for a woman, that then we should feel less than? No, I'm not buying it. And I don't want other women to buy it. That's my work, is like, let's change that relationship. Because when we do, Myrna, when we shift out of that, then we have an authentic relationship with our body, where we ask our body, what would feel nourishing? How can I best support you? Instead of this bossy relationship, which was, you should go to the gym and you should stop eating that. Which
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all
yeah,
respond. If someone's bossy
yeah,
to us, we're all like, no, thanks. Talk to the hand. I'm not having this conversation. And
yes.
we rebel.
I love that. So how do you facilitate the shift? Let's say, as you were talking,
Mhm.
um, I'm thinking of a specific situation. Let's say that you the woman that was shown, you know, you've got a scar,
Yep.
a C-section scar, and maybe there's some factors around it or whatever, and maybe you're single and
Mhm.
you're going into a new relationship and you're
Yeah.
afraid to take off your clothes because you're ashamed of that body. If it's your old husband that you've been married for 30 years, you may or may not have body shame. So
Yeah.
how do you switch? How do you tell that person to love their body and have body peace?
Okay. Such a great question. I love that. I love how you like drill down right into the specifics. Let's suppose, right? Because we all know that feeling of being self-conscious in our body and getting naked, right? I talk to women, even that are not single, they've been married for 30 years, and they're like, I'm not getting undressed
Really?
in daylight with my husband of 30 years because I have so much shame, right?
Right.
So you said something that's very important. You said, how do you make the switch? It's not a light bulb. It's not a light switch. It's not a light bulb that just goes on. We have had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of hating our body, of feeling shame. There's no like, okay, and now you're going to lose 7 pounds in 7 days, and we're just going to flip the switch and you're going to love your body. And no, that's not how it works. That's actually not sustainable. That's what our $72 billion diet industry teaches us. Here's a new diet, and you will change forever. And we all know that doesn't happen. What happens is we need to develop a practice. Body peace isn't a destination. It's why my work isn't called body love. As much as I love the idea of body love is too aspirational for many women. It's like, what? Okay, every day I'm supposed to look in the mirror and love everything. And as an aging woman, my body changes all the time. I'm like, oh, there's a new wrinkle. Oh, there's a new curve. And every day I'm supposed to be like, yes, and you are just the best. That's just not realistic. It's not real life. It's
Right,
not
right.
how we do relationships. Even with our best of friends, there's some days where you're like, oh my gosh, really? Could she just stop saying that? Right? We get annoyed, we get impatient in relationship. So what we're cultivating is not this enthusiast rainbows and unicorn body love experience. And I tried to do that, honestly, no lie, 10 years in the mirror. I love my body. I love my body. And all my mirror did was like laugh at me, like, you don't. It's just not the truth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what
Affirmations, you know, they're saying that if you keep saying that, you'll believe it, but it's very, very hard. Yeah.
it's not the switch. What we are trying to do, instead of just like, okay, I'm going to love my body, is we're repatterning our relationship with our body. Just like this gets into neurobiology, right? We have neural pathways. And the way I think, I grew up in Canada, and Winter Olympics is like
So did
your
I too, by
religion.
the way. I forgot to mention that when you told me your mom lives in Canada. Yes, I'm from Toronto as well. Anyway,
You
go
are?
ahead.
Oh my gosh, that's so wild. So that's where I was born. I was born in Toronto.
Really?
We have lots
Okay,
of things in
awesome.
common, you and I. So growing up in Canada, but I actually did my early years in Montreal. So Winter Olympics was, like the religion of Montreal. And so in Winter Olympics, there's a luge run, right? You get in this sled and boom, you're at the bottom in 6 seconds. You don't think, should I go left? Should I go right? That's the way the neural pathway is in our brain. Often we go by a mirror, and in 2 seconds, without even thinking about it, we're criticizing our body. Oh my gosh, my chin. Oh my gosh, my hips, whatever it is,
My
right?
breasts,
My breasts,
biggest one.
whatever it is, right? There's this thing. So, what
Yeah.
we want to do, because there's no switch that says, okay, that luge is now closed, what we do is we start creating new luge runs. We start repatterning. We start learning new ways of being that impact how our brain thinks about it, thinks about our body. And it's not instantaneous, right? Because I'm not interested in instantaneous success, because it doesn't last. What I'm interested, especially because I work mostly with women 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, is let's do it for the duration. Let's stop the nonsense of the on and off diets. Let's get into a sustainable way of being with our body and our food that feels like we're really taking the best care of ourselves so that we can have the life that we want.
All right. So I didn't understand. So there is what you said, there is not like a switch, right?
Yes.
But you just tell them to what specifically? Do you
Oh,
tell
yes.
them to start accepting, or what is the language?
Yes. So I love that. You're like, well, what exactly was the answer to that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So couple things. One of the things that we're cultivating, first of all, when we're shifting a relationship, is compassion. So we're developing a conversation of compassion with ourselves, because we've learned the conversation of criticism. We've learned the conversation of hate with ourselves. And what does hate and shame and criticism do? It makes us very stressed. What does stress do? It lifts up our cortisol. It lifts up our stress hormones. What does that do? It actually reduces our metabolism, reduces our calorie burning. It reduces even our immunity. So what do we want to do? We want to tell our body it's safe, it's okay. So we want to be kind. We want to have caring, kind statements. So I want to actually give you a very direct answer to the example. So what does this woman do? She's in this new relationship and she's supposed to get naked and she doesn't feel good about her body. And the first thing is, oh, this is hard, right? That's the compassionate thing. Not you should get over it or you should do, but ouch, this is vulnerable. This is hard. How do I create more safety for myself? And one way might be to let her partner in on that and say, this is vulnerable for me. And I'm concerned that you might judge me, right? Because I have such a judging voice. Yes. I am concerned that you have that same judging voice. Now, frankly, if you're going to bed with and have sex with somebody who's judging, I would skip that one altogether, right? If you find out something
that is beautiful, because I guarantee you the man is going to say, I don't care about your waist or whatever. I don't care, you have a scar. And they don't.
And they don't.
That's pretty good. They don't.
They absolutely don't.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
they see, right? A good partner sees who we are, and they see intimacy as a way to create more connection. They're not in it for the perfect bod, and frankly they don't have it either. So judging ourselves on something we're not even judging them for. So
that's actually pretty good. Yes.
Right. So softening the conversation with ourselves is so important. And it's also important in this process to unpack a little, where did that judgment come from? Because you didn't pack that bag of judgment by yourself. We got it from our gym teacher. We got it from a parent. We got it from maybe a father who would criticize the people who were in bigger bodies as they walked down the street. We got it from the mean girls in high school. We got it from whoever we got it from. But we want to look at our body story so that we can
usually mostly get it too from the images that we see, whether magazines were a big proponent of that, because the people on the magazines are never even what they look like, because they Photoshop that and they touch it up, and they don't even really look like that in real life. The magazines is where a lot of women, and I guess men too, get their body images from. Hollywood is getting a little better. Because if you look at the movies in the 50s, all those women are a size 0 and beautiful. Now that not so much. So Hollywood is changing with the diversity, but the magazines have not caught up. But and you're right. It's beautiful to expand your mind, which is basically what this show is about. Transform your mind on that. Transform your mind that as you get older, it's not really your body. a partner, or you are looking at, I mean, if you don't have a partner, you're looking at health, which is how I changed my conversation in my head, my health. And if you have a partner, they're looking for a whole bunch of things because, if they wanted perfection, they'll go to the 25-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many women that I've talked to that say, Nina, I just don't want to die hating my body, because it just is such a energy drain, right? We want to be in those engaging relationships. We want to be feeling vital, right? And so that sense of, I'm moving towards a sense of well-being. I'm moving towards a sense of support for myself. I'm moving towards a sense of feeling like I'm truly my own ally instead of my own enemy. That's where we want to move towards. And it takes some unlearning, right? Like you talk about the magazines. I grew up on 17 magazine, right? And I grew up feeling like I should be taller. I'm not very tall. That I should be blonder. I have never been blonde. And that I should be very, very thin. I am a curvy gal. So really, like, it wasn't happening for me.
Right.
So my brand of beauty was not represented for many years in the magazines. So right away, I had that feeling of not enoughness. And Myrna, to come back to that image you said that you saw from that podcaster or radio show person, it's so important to fill our social media feed with positive body images. And one of the ways that you could easily do it is look up plus size models, start following them, body positivity, body peace, right? Which is my work. Body love. It's not a term that I love, but it's a term that's out there. Body neutrality, right? People like Lizzo who are out there saying, yes, my body in this exact shape that it is a thing of beauty. We want examples like that of people saying, yes, this is how
actually, that was a good one for you to pull out, because she is actually doing some work on that right now about, I think she has a Netflix or some work she's doing other than her music, on that same topic, right? Body image, and it's okay to be in a bigger body. I love that.
It is. It's so important for us to make space for the diversity of size and the diversity of ability. But if you're willing, I have another poem to share actually about Lizzo, because and this was sort of a couple of years back when Lizzo was kind of getting on the scene. And a friend of mine said, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's fantastic. And she was like, yeah, well, it's okay for Lizzo, but not for me. Right. So that's what this.
Well, because she's rich.
Well, it's all the ways that we go, well, that woman who's in a large body who walks in the room and feels like she's all that, that's great. She can be confident, but I still have to change my body because my body's not okay. So this poem is called, I Wish I Felt Like Lizzo. We watched Lizzo belting it out, shaking her stuff, being an icon of power. And my soulful, beautiful being of a friend looked at me and said, it's okay for Lizzo, but not for me. I looked at her with one eyebrow raised and a nod of understanding, because I've heard it so many times. The celebration of body liberation is for all women, except for you. You're all for fat positivity, for owning being all sizes, for owning our curves, our belly, our butt. You admire that woman who lives in a large body when she walks into the room with confidence, and you say, oh yes, I love how she loves her body. I want every woman to love their body like that. But that's not for me. Somehow you believe the rules are different for you. You're not allowed to feel good in your skin until you lose 15 pounds, until you have a flatter belly, until your arms don't wave in the wind, until you fit into your skinny jeans, until you're sure no one will judge your size, until. But the body liberation that Lizzo's got, that's for you too. You're allowed to feel your power, your beauty, yourself. Lizzo's body is not shrouded in shame. Her fatness is not covered in apologies. She's not promising to be smaller. And you, with the wondrous body that you live in right now, you deserve that too.
Yeah, that's great, 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 great. I'm glad you're using someone that everybody knows, Lizzo. Yes, that's amazing. You know, I'm not saying that her body is perfect, because she's a big girl, but if she is comfortable with it and she accepts it, and that's the beautiful part.
But
You
Myrna,
know,
I
yeah,
wanna push back on you. That idea, I'm
yeah,
not saying her body is perfect. What is a perfect body, right? We need to redefine
yeah,
what is perfect and
right.
be like, you know what, you have a body, that's a perfect body. And sometimes if we're having heart problems, does it feel like a perfect body? No, we all have challenges of
Right.
some kind. But yes, the fact that you exist in a body, that's perfection.
Perfection. All right. Oh, yeah, you see, we're changing it one little step at a time, right?
Mhm.
Like I told you that I had a number. So, I was at peace with my body until I got to a certain number, and I says, I refuse to get to this number or whatever. And then, I started doing some weight and going to the gym and all that kind of stuff. But you're talking to me as well, finding peace with the scale. That's my thing. Because I exercise so much. I'm very muscular and I think that I'm fit, but that number on the scale is in my head. And this conversation is for me as well.
So
So
I
what
want to tell you what I
right,
tell people when they're
uh-huh,
hooked on the scale. So
right,
one is your number is not your identity. And
right.
two,
Mhm.
try an experiment. This is an experiment I literally give to my clients when they're like, yes, but I have to weigh myself. Otherwise, I won't know. And then I have to be in control. And the scale starts to be this like push, pull, push, pull. I'm low on the scale. Yay, thumbs up. I'm high on the scale. Boo, I'm a bad
Ooh,
person.
right,
Right.
yeah, right.
And the number starts to be a moral judgment on our actual being as a human.
Mhm,
So here's the experiment. You take your scale and you put it in a plastic bag. If you can't toss it, which I know many people can't, so you take the scale, you put it in a plastic bag, and you tie a double knot. Then you take that bag, you put it in another bag with the knot facing down. You tie another knot. So now you've got this scale, two bags, two double knots. Then you take that whole bag and you either put it in your garage or your attic or your basement, somewhere you don't often get naked. Because I know the people who are hooked on the scale are taking off every little tidbit of clothing before they
yeah.
step on that
Mine is
scale.
in my bathroom, right?
Yes. So it goes out of the bathroom and it goes up, attic, basement, garage,
Yes, yes,
wherever,
yes.
somewhere you don't
Mhm,
get naked. So
right.
when you have that tendency, maybe I should weigh myself. Maybe I should check in. Oh, I wonder if I've lost weight. I feel a little lighter. Oh, I feel a little heavier. Maybe I should check, right? Then
Yes.
you have to go, okay, really? And you have to go get the scale. And in the time that it might take you to go get the scale, unknot the first knot, pull the bag out, unknot the, you can start to think, what am I asking the scale to tell me? That I'm a valuable person? That I am good, that I can trust my actual internal experience of myself, that if I feel vital, that I actually am because the number is down, or if I'm feeling a little sluggish, that maybe I haven't been eating in the way that I really would like to support myself. Do I need a little piece of metal to tell me how I actually feel on the inside?
That's
And I'm
good.
going to say just straight up, you don't.
I love it. I love
And
it. That's
that
very true.
work is
Very
the work
true.
of body trust. It's
Yes.
trusting your own knowing of your body. We do not need a 30, 50, $150 piece of equipment to tell us how we are. We're
Right.
women. We know. Ask us. And then trust. Trust that you know yourself. That's a
Mhm.
big part of this body piece work, is coming back into relationship with yourself and really honoring, this is what would make me feel good. This is what would make me feel mobile, agile, vibrant, alive, sexy, sensual, all the good things.
I love it. But I'm going to push back a little here.
Mhm.
So let's say,
I love that.
because, as you're talking, yeah, this conversation is applicable to me because the scale doesn't tell me anything. I'm like right here with you with what you just said, because I know that my whole goal is, as I age, that I don't get any of the chronic illnesses, and exercise and eating well is my focus, and I do that.
Mhm.
So the scale, you're right. When I ask the scale and it's mine doesn't go anywhere. I'm doing all this work and it stays the same, and I get very upset. You know what I mean? But what say that you are at an unhealthy weight? So what do you tell them? Because there is an unhealthy weight, or
Okay,
you don't believe that?
I don't believe that, and I'll tell you
Okay,
why.
all right.
Because there is a concept that's in this world called health at every size. It's not health at all sizes, because you can be in a very large body or a very small body and not be taking care of yourself. You could be somebody who doesn't ever move, who's sitting in front of your computer, who's living on, you know, jacked up caffeine drinks. That's not healthy at any size.
Okay, all right.
But
So
you can
that was
also,
really the question. I got you. All right.
right? But
Yep.
you can also be at a large size and be somebody who walks and who eats well and whose health is not defined by the number on the scale, but rather
Okay.
some more important metrics, right? How's your
Okay.
heart doing? How's your cholesterol doing? How's your blood sugar doing? Right? Those are important metrics.
Okay.
But the
Got you. Yeah.
size
So
of
I
our
just have to
body,
we just have to clarify that, because
no,
yeah,
I
we're not
I
promoting that.
like that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right. I'm not promoting
Yeah.
that, you know what, ignore your body. It doesn't matter. Eat whatever the heck you want, whenever you want, right? When people, because part of this work is giving yourself permission to eat and not being so tight, 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 restrictive. Because then what happens is people are doing secret eating, they're doing binge eating, they're doing nighttime eating, they're waking up in the night and eating, right?
Right.
So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the restriction causes unwanted eating behavior and disordered eating.
True.
So,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we want to do is make space for permission to eat. But permission to eat doesn't mean, well, great, I'm just going to have bonbons, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have a body that deserves respect.
Right. Right.
We
Right.
know what
Yes.
makes, oh, you and I have lived in our bodies for a decade or two. We know what makes us feel good and we know what
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
Right.
We want to be respecting. We want to be honoring. We want to be nourishing our body. We want to feel like we're being the best ally we can for this body, because this is our primary relationship. This is the longest relationship we have in our life. We're born in this body. We're going to die in this body. Let's
Right.
have it be a relationship that truly works.
Okay. I love that. All right. So, our main topic today was, how do women over 40 feel at peace with their body? I think we've covered it, but is there anything else that you want to add to that?
So, one of the things that I want to add to it is, especially for women over 40, our bodies are changing. And there are two times in a woman's life where we're most susceptible to disordered eating. One is coming into fertility. You see that a lot. You see disordered eating, eating disorders in teenagers because their bodies are changing. This is normal, right? Getting their period, developing breasts. There's normal weight gain. But our culture says, oh, no, 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 don't, no. You should still look like you're 12. And then the diets start, right?
Mhm.
Even they're turning 13, 14, 15, and their whole bodies are changing. So that's one time where we're susceptible. This is from research from Margot Main. So then on the other end is when we're leaving fertility, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. There's a time where our bodies are again really changing. Hormones are shifting. And again, what comes up is a women being very vulnerable to disordered eating, because we're like, oh my gosh, my body's changing. That can't happen. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna pass that number on the scale, right? Like Myrna, you were saying, I my belly is a different shape. My this, I'm gonna do something. And we get into what I call body management. And that can really reel us out into that sense of disordered eating, eating disorders, obsession, and not actually enjoying our life, instead being very tight and feeling not our vibrant selves. And there's incredible power. You and I know that in this age range, we're like, woohoo, this is who we are. Welcome to our fun world. Instead of trying to be something for someone else, we're like, ta-da, this is me.
Right.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's
So
good. I like that. Right. So yeah, you definitely can't leave this conversation without talking about menopause, because yeah, you know, if I were to just expand on that. So when you're when you get into menopause, right? Yes, your body starts to change. And then you also psychologically I feel you're not young anymore, you know. So so you go through that mental thing, and yeah, so you're totally focused on the body image at that point. And yeah, so to get over that hump is to recognize that, you know, there's a saying, you know, you aging like fine wine, that kind of thing. It's all
yes, yes, it
when you're talking about
is.
those affirmations, that's one of the things that you can say, that you're older and wiser or better, or
Yeah.
all those different things. And it allows you to move into a little better body image. Yes, you know, you're not as firm, and you know, things sag, and you know, you put on some weight, but maybe you're smarter, and you got more to offer, you're wise, you know, that kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's coming to the reality that we change. We
Yes.
change in many ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there can be a period of your life. Oh, and this has happened to me. I'm a swimmer, very active, and then like my shoulder got frozen. Well, okay, well now I'm not swimming for a while, and so my body changed. All right, can you flow with that change? Okay, now my shoulder's moving again. Now I'm swimming again, and my body's going to change again. Can we go with the ebbs and flows of changing, aging bodies, instead of buying into this whole idea of anti-aging, which makes me insane? I much prefer my mother's wisdom, who's 91. She says, if you're lucky, you're aging.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Age,
yeah.
like, so let's embrace our changing body, like you said, like a fine wine, because there's wisdom that comes with our aging. And what we also want to cultivate with that is a sense of compassion and caring and respect and honoring
Yes,
with our body and our food. And that's what body peace really is.
yes. I love it. This is a great conversation. Absolutely love it. All right. So as we wrap up, tell us about your Body Peace coaching programs and how listeners can connect with you, your social media, your website.
Yes. So you can find me most places as Nina Manelson. And my website is ninamanelson.com. But since Manelson's a little complicated to spell, you can also just search bodypeacewithnina.com, all one word. And there's a couple of things on that website that you'll find that's super helpful to start your journey into your own body peace path. And they're free. And one is a body peace masterclass that really goes into the different kinds of relationships that women have with their bodies. And the other is a journal. It's Practicing Body Peace Journal. It's a free journal. You can download it. And in there are some of my body peace poems. But even more importantly, there's 20 questions that if you were sitting with me, I would ask you about how is your relationship with your body? How did it come to be that way? How do you feel? Right? To start you really asking yourself these important questions so that you can start to create a relationship with your body and with food that feels really good and solid. And the one last thing that I want to share that is brand new is I have an app, a Body Peace app.
Nice. Okay.
Yep. So you can find more information about that at ninamanelson.com/Body Peace app. All one word. So I'm super excited about that because it has tons of resources. It has the Body Peace Seekers program. It has a Body Peace Starter Kit program. It has free meditations, Body Peace poems, the master classes there. It's got a lot of resources to support you to really have body peace for yourself.
That's beautiful. Awesome. Are you on Instagram or Facebook?
I am both as Nina Manelson,
Okay,
and
under your name.
TikTok and
Okay.
LinkedIn, all the
Okay.
places. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, listen, this was a fabulous conversation for whether you're over 40, under 40, we're talking about body peace. Like Nina says, her body peace, her connection to her body started at 9 years old. So yes, you could, finding peace with your body, it could be at any age. So
Yes.
Nina shared a lot of nuggets, helped me on my body peace journey. So that was this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I learned a few things myself. So I learn along with you guys every week. Every time I bring fascinating guests on the show, I'm learning along with you. So this was amazing. So thank you, Nina, for expanding our minds about how we can get rid of that scale. I'm going to go tie mine up too.
Good.
Get rid of that scale and do not weigh me, because you have nothing to say to me that, my own internal system can tell me.
Yes.
So that's amazing. I
Great.
absolutely love that. So
Good.
yes, definitely head over to Nina's website and her app. Those of you who are regular listeners know that a transcript of my conversation with Nina will be on the show page, which is blog.myhelps.us. And in that show page, I would have links out to her website. I would have links out to her body peace website as well, and her app, as well as her social media handles. So if you forget any of it or don't know how to spell her name, just head over to the show page and connect with her there. Because as she said, body peace is not a destination, it's a journey. So maybe you need some, help along the way. And this is one place to be encouraged. So thank you, Nina. So as
Thank
we
you,
wrap up,
Myrna.
any last words?
If you're struggling with your relationship with food and body, if you're feeling bad about your body or what you just ate, it doesn't have to stay that way. It can really, really change. Repair with your body can happen.
Yes, that's true. We're talking body image, we're talking food, we're talking menopause. All those things are wrapped up in a nice little package. So so Nina is there to help you to unpack that. Awesome. All right. Well,
Absolutely.
listen, guys, thanks for tuning in to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I hope you were inspired today by Nina, by our conversation. And I wish you body peace. Until next time, namaste.
Thank you, Myrna.